Hey everyone, welcome to the character creation and animation tutorial series. Within this series, I'm going to show you how to create a low poly character, then set up a basic rig, and how to animate the character within Blender. Be sure to watch the entire video, as I'm going to give you several tips and tricks as to how to use the program throughout this entire video, as well as be sure to hit like and subscribe and hit the notification button so you'll be notified when the next tutorial drops. Anyways, let's get going. Okay, so here's our basic scene in Blender every time you start up. Gonna delete our light here because we're not going to use that. And I think for once I'm going to spare the default cube and actually use it this time. So we're going to go ahead and select it, hit G, Z axis, move it up on the Z axis by hitting Z. And this is going to make up our torso. So I'm going to go ahead and hit tab to go into edit mode, hit Alt Z to go into X-ray mode, hit Control R, go ahead and cut it in half vertically and of course horizontally and vertically down the x-axis. Make sure these are all running perfectly along the x, y, and z axes. And what we're going to do now is we're going to hit 3 to go into faces mode and select the left hand side of the box, all the faces here, and delete them. Okay, now we've got half a box. Now we're going to go to our modifiers properties, and we're going to add modifier, generate, mirror, and be sure to check clipping here. Alt Z, go out of X-ray mode. So we've basically what we have is we have a mirror-sided cube. So whatever we do is going to basically create symmetrical geometry with our figure, which is very important when you're creating a character. Okay, let's just kind of start deforming this a little bit to start kind of giving it a little more definition as to make it look more like a torso. First thing we're going to do is we're going to we're going to hit 2 to go to edges mode, bring this front edge back a bit, hit G and move it along the y-axis. And likewise, go down here. This right here is the back. Going to hit G, y-axis, bring this forward a bit. And you know what? I think we're going to go ahead and go tab to go in object mode and hit scale along the y-axis and just kind of crush this in a bit. And tab to go back in edit mode, hit 2, make sure we're in edges mode. Select this edge here and this one here by holding shift. And hit G, move it along the x-axis to kind of tuck this in a little bit. It's already starting to look like a very low polygonal torso. Hit 3 to go into faces mode. We're going to select these two bottom faces, hit E to extrude, automatically along the z-axis. This will be the pelvic area, this area right here. Okay. And we're just going to bring this up just a little bit. And then hit 2 to go to edges mode. Select these inner edges here. G, Z-axis. Now what we need to do is we need to start making some more edge loops to create a little more definition here. So we're going to create one right along these faces here. Hit Control R. Okay. Now we're going to select these faces on the side here by hitting 3 and go into faces mode. Select these faces here. Hit S to scale, Y to go along the y-axis. And then we're going to hit 2 to go back to edges mode. Select this edge here and this edge here. Hit G, X, move it along the x-axis. This just kind of rounds out the waist area of the torso. Now what we're going to do is hit Control R to add in another edge loop and bring this in a bit. This right here is going to be kind of the groin area. Hit 3 to go to faces mode. Select these 4 faces right here, not these inner 2. We need to have a little bit of a gap between our legs. Hit E to extrude and hit Z to make it snap along the Z-axis. S to scale, Z, 0 to flatten them out. We're going to hit G, Z-axis. And then we're going to S to scale, just to kind of scale these down a bit. Let's go ahead and look down our Y-axis by clicking on this Y right here. Okay, let's tab to go back to object mode. Hit G, move down on the Z-axis. Going to shorten up the legs a little bit. Has to scale a little bit more. Going to hit 2, go to edges mode. Select these 2 edges here. Hit G, X-axis. I'm actually going to go ahead and select these 2 faces, hit 3, go to faces mode, and select these 2 faces, hit G, x-axis, bring them in a bit. Now select these faces here, S to scale, G, X-axis, I mean Z-axis a bit. Hit 1 to go into vertices mode. I'm going to select this vertice, bring it in a bit. It's actually, let's look at the Z-axis from the bottom. Yeah. Hit 3, go to faces mode, select these faces. This is the bottom of the pant legs. S to scale, Y-axis. I'm going to scale these down a bit. Now I'm going to hit 1 to go to vertices mode. Select this vertice right here. Hit G, Y-axis. Just kind of tweaking this a bit. Just so the basically the pant legs right here have kind of a circular face or surface right here. Hit 3, go to faces mode. Select these faces right here. Hit extrude, S to scale. Hit extrude. Move down along automatically down the Z-axis. Let's look down our Y-axis. Hit G, Z-axis. Okay, so now what are going to be the shoes or the boots? I think if you guys watch Squid Game, I believe the workers and the soldiers and the officers all wore boots of some sort, along with their bubblegum colored windsuits. Okay, do an edge loop, Control R. Then we're going to select, actually, I'll tell you what we're going to do right now. We're going to hit 2 to go to edges mode. Select these top and bottom edges here towards the front, S to scale, X-axis. Now we're going to hit 3 to go to faces mode, hold Control and Shift. Select this face here, so we select all 4 at the same time. Hit extrude, Y-axis, S to scale, Y-axis, 0. And then G, Y-axis. Select this face right here, hit G, Y-axis. 2, select this edge right here, G, Y-axis, move down. Okay, we have very basic looking boots here. We're going to give them just a little more definition to them. So we're going to 2 to go to edges mode, hit Control R, just make a little edge loop right here. Go ahead and escape, let it sit as it is, hit S to scale, Y-axis to flatten it out along the Y-axis. And then we're going to hit G, Y-axis, scoot it down the Y-axis a bit, hit 2 to go to edges mode. Select these 2 edges right here, hit G, Y-axis, and 3, Control and Shift, select these 4 surfaces right here, hit E to extrude, S to scale, and we have very basic boots there. Now what we're going to do is, while still in edit mode, we're going to hit Control R along the pant legs right here. So we're splitting them horizontally. We're going to S to scale, Z-axis, 0. This is going to define the knees. Hit Control B. Then we're just going to kind of S to scale, bring these in a little bit. And then down here around the cuffs, we're going to hit 2, edges mode, and hold Option and click this edge right here, and it selects all these edges around it. If I go into X-ray mode, you can kind of see that. And then we're going to hit Control B to just bevel that. I think we'll roll the mouse once so we have 2 bevels going on here. All right, pants are looking good. Going to go up to the waist up here, hit 2 to go to edges mode, select this edge right here by holding Alt and doing a loop selection on the edges here. Hit Control B. I'm only going to do 1 bevel here, at least initially. Okay, that looks good. Hit 2 and select, hold Alt and select these 2 edge loops. We're going to do another bevel. Okay, now we're going to hit 3 to go to faces mode, select these faces by holding Alt and selecting this edge right here to select all these faces in a circular pattern. And that's basically going to be this worker's belt. Make a few tweaks here. We're going to select, hit 2 to go to edges mode, select this edge right here near the groin area, hit G, Z-axis, move it up. Same here. Let's bring it up a bit. I think we'll go ahead, S to scale, Z axis, just kind of flatten that out a bit. All right, looking pretty good so far. We're going to get 3, go to faces mode, select these faces right here. Hit extrude outward, make sure they're snapping along the x-axis by hitting X. Going to hit 2, go to edges mode, select these 2 bottom edges, hit G, x-axis, bring them in. And then we're going to select these 2 edges up here, hit G, z-axis. Hit 3, faces mode, select these 2 faces, S to scale, y-axis. That kind of defines the shoulders. Hit E to extrude. It automatically extrudes these along the normals of those faces that we just selected. You know what? We're going to look down our y-axis because I want to see how our arms are looking. Hit G. S to scale a bit. S to scale, y-axis. Looking pretty good so far. Okay. We're going to hit Control R, do an edge loop cut around the arms going up to the chest area. And selecting just these 2 edges, cutting along the arms, we're going to S to scale, y-axis, bring them out a bit. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go to global and change it to normal. And then we're going to select these edges around the arms that are kind of in the corners here. We're going to S to scale, y-axis. So now the arms just have a more curved, more natural look to them. Hit 3, faces mode. Select these 4 faces right here. E to extrude, S to scale. Bring these in a bit. E to extrude, bring it out a little bit. E to extrude, a little bit more. S to scale. E to extrude, S to scale, x-axis. And S to scale, y-axis. Select this face right here. Select this face right here. E to extrude, bring it out. S to scale. Gonna rotate along our y-axis. Gonna hit G and move it along the x-axis a bit. Rotate again along the y-axis. E to extrude, bring it out. S to scale. Gonna hit G, x-axis. You know what? We're gonna just do a loop selection. Select all these. Hit G. Z-axis, just to kind of bring it in a bit. Yes, our worker is wearing mittens. Just select that. Hit the Z-axis, just bring it out a bit. Going for a very basic character here. Just that this way it'll be very easy to animate, and we can move a little quicker with it. I mean, you know, we could spend hours and hours making a character in Blender and everything, but for time constraints, I'm just kind of show you a easy process to create a character and allow you to do some animation. Okay, so let's keep going. Hit Control R. Create an edge loop right here for the elbow. Escape. We're going to go back and set it to global. I'm going to hit Control B just to kind of define where the elbow is. And hit 2, go to edges mode, Alt, and select here to do a loop selection. Hit Control B. Roll your mouse just to get a little more definition here with the bevel. Okay, hit 3, go to faces mode. Let's select these faces we just created. S to scale, kind of bring them in a bit. Let's go look at our shoulders up here, getting a little squarish here. Select these 2 vertices right here by press 1 to go into vertices mode. S to scale, y-axis. Okay, hit 2, go to faces mode. Select these 2 faces right here, hit G, x-axis, bring them out a bit. Select these 2 edges right here, hit G, z-axis, bring them down. You know what, we're going to select these 2 edges again, bring them over just a little bit more. And same thing here, move this vertex over. So we're starting to define our, getting ready to create the hood for the worker. Select these vertices here. Hit G, y-axis, bring them in a bit. Select this vertex here, hit G, x-axis, bring it in. Let's look down our z-axis, how we're looking up top here. I'm going to select this vertex here. This right here is the chest right here. You can see the boots, so this is the front of the character. Hit G, x-axis. Okay, hit 2 edges. Select these 2 edges right here. Hit G, X-axis, bring them out a bit. Now we're going to hit 3. Select these faces right here. Hit Extrude. Let's just look at our character from the front down the Z-axis. Hit G, move them up a bit more. We're going to make a series of cuts here. So we're going to hit Control R. And yeah, we're going to start with 4. We can add more later. Now we just need to start kind of shaping this out a bit. So we're going to hit 3, select these 2 faces here, and let's go ahead and hit O to turn on proportional editing. Hit G, X-axis. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and add another cut right here. Just bring it down a bit. I'm going to select these 2 edges, hit G, X-axis. Select these 2 edges, bring them out. G, X-axis, just kind of tweaking a little bit here, guys. Select these 2 faces back here, G, Y-axis. Gonna tighten down our proportional editing a little bit by rolling the mouse wheel. As you can see, the circle gets bigger. It affects more geometry. As it gets smaller, it affects less geometry around it. Select this face here. This is the back of the head. Hit G, Y-axis, bring it out. Hit 1, go to vertices mode. Select this vertice here. Hit G, Y-axis, wrap that around a bit. Actually, I think we're just going to take these 2 and this one right here. Hit G, Y-axis, bring it in. Bring these in. Hit 2, go to edges mode. Select this edge here. Hit Z, move it along the Z-axis. I think we're going to do the same thing up here. So we're starting to define the opening of the hood. What did you guys think of Squid Game? I mean, if you have any comments or anything you want to leave below about Squid Game, I thought it was a pretty awesome show. And one of the things I think was amazing about how they did the workers is how they were very different from most other henchmen, if you call it that. I mean, they were so simple. It was basically people wearing hoods with look like kendo or fencing masks. Very basic in comparison to what you see nowadays in a lot of shows and movies. Okay, let's get back to it. Hit 3, and we need to select these faces right here. So we're going to start creating the kind of the beginnings of the opening of the hood. We're going to do Eat Extrude, bring this out, S to scale. Hit 1, bring this vertice up. Actually make these very shallow. S to scale, bring them in. Whoops, let's get from the front so we can see what we're doing here. S to scale, X-axis. Say hit 2, go to edges mode, select these 2 edges here, hit G, Y-axis, bring them out. Same thing here, let's bring these out a bit. You know what, I think we're going to hit 3, go to faces mode, select these 2 faces here, hit G, Z-axis, bring it down a bit. Select this vertice here, bring it down. I feel like we're getting a little too narrow here, so we need to widen out the face a bit. Hit 3, go to faces mode, select these 2 faces, bring them out on the X-axis. 2 edges mode, select this, bring it out. 3 faces mode, okay, looking good. Select all these faces here. Hit Extrude, S to scale. Let's turn off our proportional editing mode. Okay, hit G, X-axis, bring it in a bit. Okay, gonna hit Eat Extrude and bring this all the way back a little bit. Gonna hit S to scale, Y-axis, 0, so that's nice and flat in there now. Gonna select these faces here. Let's go ahead and turn on proportional editing mode by hitting O, or you can select this little circle up here. Hit G, Z-axis. Select this face right here. Hit G, Y-axis, bring it in a bit. All right. Now it's time to start defining the mask. Gonna do Extrude, S to scale, bring it in. Hit O to turn off proportional editing, or select the circle right here, or deselect the circle right here. Hit G, X-axis. Again, I feel like we're getting just a little too narrow. Let's look down our Y-axis, see how we're looking. Yeah, I'm going, like I said, going for a very cartoonish look here. Let's hit Alt-C to go into our X-ray mode. Let's hit 3. Well, we're already in faces mode. We need to turn proportion lighting back on. Select all these faces here, kind of wrapping around here. And we're going to do S to scale, X-axis. Hit G, move along the X-axis. We're just going to widen out our head a bit. G, X-axis, bring it out. Sometimes the workers kind of made me think of Kenny from South Park in a way. I think they may have been a death cult they were tired of all times Kenny's been killed on South Park and trying to avenge his death. Okay, looking a little better. All right, select this vertex, bring it over a bit, X-axis. Try to make sure that these lines and points and everything are, curving outward a bit. There's no weird angles or anything. Because now, let's turn off our proportional editing. Hit 3 to go to faces mode. Select all these faces here except for this inner track here. Hit extrude, bring it out. S to scale. Hit G, X-axis, just kind of crush this in a bit. And then we're going to do hit extrude outward again, S to scale. G, X-axis, and move the X-axis. And we're just select these two faces right here. Hit G, Y, axis. Select these faces here, bring it down a bit. Actually, when you let's turn on proportional editing, hit O or select the circle up here. Hit G, Z axis. Let's widen this out a bit. Select these. Workers were very creepy in this show. They just, they were faceless and they were supposed to be silent. And basically have no sympathy or anything for the contestants. Select these two faces here, hit G, Y-axis, bring it in a bit. Hit 2 to go to digest mode. Select this edge right here, hit G, X-axis, bring it out a bit. Kind of broaden the forehead a bit. I mean, I know it's going to be a mask. Looking pretty good. Tell you what, let's go ahead and start adding some materials real quick. Let's go down here to our materials properties. And let's go ahead and go over to viewport shading. And we're going to create our windsuit material. Let's see. Windsuit. Name your materials, guys. And name your layers. Let's go ahead and change this from cube to worker. Not workers, it's just one worker. And let's get our bubblegum color here. That looks pretty Squid Game worker color right there. And I'm gonna turn the roughness up. There shouldn't be any glossiness to this. Okay, now we need to start adding some of the darker details. Basically the workers are pretty simple. I mean, it's bubblegum jumpsuit with black belt, boots, gloves, and black mask with a white circle on them. So we're going to go ahead, hit 3, let's see, we're in faces mode. So we're going to just go ahead and select these faces here. There's this inner track right here. We're going to select that by holding Alt and Shift to do a loop selection. Going to zoom out, we're going to go into look down our Y-axis. I'm sorry, guys. Alt Z. Select these. Just kind of pan around, make sure we got everything on the glove selected. And same thing with the belt. Make sure the belt's all selected. And the boots. Whoops, wrong one. Select these and these. These faces here. Make sure the underside. Okay, looking good. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go up here, add a new material. And we're going to add a new material. We're just going to put, let's say, flat black. Oh, that doesn't look black. I'll bring it down. And we're going to turn the roughness up. Because then we're going to go back and we're going to create another black that's going to be more glossy. We're going to use that for the boots and the mask. So let's say we're going to deselect the belt. Actually, no, we're going to leave the belts. We're going to deselect the gloves. We're going to deselect this inner, let's see, Alt-Z, turn off our X-ray mode. We're going to deselect this inner track here. Just making sure where just the mask, the belt, and the boots are selected. And we're going to add another material. We're going to go down here and select flat black again. But what we're going to do is we're going to do new material. And we're going to change this to gloss black. And then we're going to bring, well, actually make sure and hit assign. And then we're going to bring the roughness down. So now, as you can see, the mask is glossy, the boot's glossy, and I'm sorry, the belt's glossy, and the boots are glossy. I think what we're going to do is we're going to, let's hit 2 to go to edges mode. Real quick, let's hit O to turn off our proportional editing, or of course, as usual, select this circle up here. Select this edge right here, Control and Shift, select this edge, so all these are selected. S to scale, Z axis, 0, so that's nice and flat. Now we're going to hit 3. Actually, one thing I noticed right here, I'm going to hit 1 to go into vertices mode. Grab this vertice right here, G, X axis, just to kind of bring that in a bit. Now we're going to hit 3, faces mode, Control and Shift, select here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just do Eat Extrude, bring this out a bit. G, Z axis, bring this out a bit. As to scale it, as to scale Z axis. Now we just kind of have that differentiation between the top and bottom parts of the mask. Although I think what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to select these faces, hit G, Z axis, bring them down a bit. Okay. Now this is going to get a little tricky, but I think you guys can do this. What we're going to do is we're going to hit, let's see, we're going to add in, I think we're going to add in some more edge loops. We're going to hit Control R, create an edge loop there, create an edge loop here. And then what we need to do is we're going to make some actual cuts. But before I make our cuts, we need to hit 1 to go to vertices mode. Select these 2 vertices here, hit J, then select this vertice here and this one here, hit J. We're going to hit K to bring up our little butcher's knife, make a cut here, just kind of right in the center here, and cut. Keep in mind when you're making these cuts that these are all staying square, 4 sides, 4 points. And then what we're going to do is going to hit 2 to go to edges mode. Make sure only these edges are selected. We're going to hit Control B to bevel them. We don't want these to be subdivided. If we hit Y to look down our Y-axis, as you can see, we have kind of we got a little bit of a circle going here. We're going to have to make some tweaks. Going to hit Eat Extrude, bring it out. Let's go ahead and look down our Y-axis again. Let's see, hit Alt-Z to go into X-ray mode, hit 1 to go into vertices mode, and select these vertices right here, hit G, Z-axis. We're just gonna just try and get a little slightly more circular feel, but not too much, not too involved or anything. Actually, no, I think we're just gonna go on and move on ahead. Time constraints here. Alt-Z out of X-ray mode. Hit 3, go to faces mode. Select these faces here, and here, and here. We're gonna add another material. Change this to white. And hit assign. And we have a worker. Looks pretty good. think we're going to go in and add some extra details here and there. Going to kind of define, let's see, hit 3, go to faces mode, select this face right here. O to bring up our proportional editing, or select the circle right here. Hit G, x-axis, bring it over. Okay, yes, to scale, x-axis. And same thing with this one right here. Hit G, x-axis, bring it over. As to scale, x-axis. Okay, with that one still selected and this one selected, we're going to go and select our windsuit material. Just kind of give the indication of belt loops. I think we're going to select these two faces, as to scale, y-axis, taper these in a bit, and hit G, x-axis, bring them in a bit. You know what? I think we'll go and bring these in a bit too. And I think we're looking pretty good, guys. Very basic character. And I mean, you guys can make you guys can add more detail to your characters if you want to and everything. I mean, it's totally up to you. Just try not to make them too complicated or anything, because we're going to be animating this in the next part of the tutorial. So you hit 2, select these edges here, just kind of round out the shoulders a bit more. Still have proportional editing on. Just kind of nitpicking here, guys. And, just for the heck of it, let's hit Shift A. Let's create a plane as scale. And change this to ground. And let's go to our filter, turn on selectable, and this one right here. And on the ground, let's go ahead and make it non-selectable, as the same with the camera. And because we're going to add in some lights, Shift A, go to light, area, hit G, Z-axis, bring it up. Let's go ahead and turn over to our viewport shading render preview. Turn on this light a bit more, 100 watts. Let's go ahead and turn it to 200 watts. Hit G, Y-axis, G, X-axis. Rotate along the x-axis, rotate along the z-axis, towards our little guy here. In your light properties on the little light bulb here, let's go ahead and turn to shadow, turn on contact shadows, and I'm going to turn on my usual render settings: ambient occlusion, bloom, depth of field, high quality, jitter camera. Subsurface scattering, leave that as is. Screen space reflections, turn on refraction, motion blur, because we're going to be doing animation later. Volumetrics, going to turn my tile size to 2. Turn on volumetric shadows, performance, high quality normals, shadows, cube size 4096, cascade size 4096, high bit depth, leave indirect lighting and film alone. I think we're going to turn this light up a little brighter. Let's go back to our light bulb here. Say 300. That was a good movie, by the way. Shift D, G, X-axis, rotate, Z-axis. And we're going to make this about 100 watts. Then we're going to hit Shift D, G, Y-axis, bring this around, rotate it again. So we light up the back of this guy. And we're going to make this backlight 1000. Okay, so let's see if we look at our camera settings. See, we need to turn our camera on to where we can select it. Oops, make sure we're selecting our camera, not our lights. And we're going to set our camera to 24 millimeters. Hit G, move our camera up on the Z-axis. So we hit render. Got ourselves a little worker from Squid Game. Looking good, guys. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna make a few more changes. I want to add a little more definition to the hood. I'm gonna select the character right here And let's see, tab to go in edit mode, hit 3, go to faces mode. Let's turn off proportional editing, hit 0. Select this face, hit here, hit G, Z-axis. Bring this out, Z-axis, X-axis a bit. 2, go to edges mode. I'm going to select these 2 edges right here, bring them down a bit. There, liking that better. I think I'm going to change my camera angle to here. Little tip as far as moving your camera around. If you have your viewport set to where you want your camera to be, all you have to do is go up to View and go to Align View and align Active Camera to View. And there you go. So we have a nice shot of our little character here. So that concludes this part of the tutorial. In the next one, I'm going to show you how to rig this character and basically add a bone structure to it so we can start animating it. And we're going to make this guy do some walking. So hope you guys tune in for that one. And if you like this video, be sure to hit like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let me know what you think of it by leaving a comment below. Otherwise, really appreciate you guys watching the tutorial. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.